What's going on, guys? Jake Peffer here. Welcome back to Jake's Cinema Room. Today, I'm back with another movie review for you. I'm going to be looking at the latest movie to hit Netflix and have a limited release in theaters, Hitman, which is directed by Richard Linklater and stars Glen Powell, the new big A-list guy that they're trying to shove into everything. And honestly, I'm here for it because I'm a big fan of Glen Powell. I think over the years, he's established himself as a pretty solid actor, and now that they're really starting to ramp him up and utilize him in a lot of movies, I'm all here for it because I think the guy's charming. He's got a lot of charisma. And with Hitman, whoo, he's put himself in a whole new league when it comes to acting. Like I said, the movie is directed by Richard Linklater, who has easily become one of my favorite directors over the last several years. This guy, just every time he puts out a movie, I'm always excited. I think all the movies I've seen of his are all really great. I mean, from Days of Confused, which is one of my all-time favorite movies, to the spiritual sequel to that, Everybody Wants Some, which also features Glen Powell, I think is a great movie. Boyhood is amazing. School of Rock, and he's done so many other fantastic movies. A lot of which actually I need to catch up on. There's some in his filmography that I have not had the opportunity to see, but I think the guy is a stellar filmmaker. And with Hitman, him and the combination of him and Glen Powell, I think works extremely well. With Hitman, we follow Glen Powell as a guy named Gary Johnson. He is a professor at the University of New Orleans, and on the side, he helps out his local police department with some things. When one of their guys who basically poses as a hitman, he goes around and confronts people who are looking to hire a hitman, poses as one, and then catches them in the act of hiring them to arrest them for the act. He's on leave, or he's leaving for an extended period of time. And Glen Powell basically gets thrown into the opportunity to take over his role as posing as a hitman. Once he does it, he actually gets really invested into it, so much to the point where he starts, watching movies and documentaries and things like that to learn, different ways to be a hitman, different characters to try to be when he's doing this, act and everything. And that's where a lot of the fun in the movie comes from, is watching him put on these different disguises and play these different roles. It's almost like him playing a lot of different characters in a movie. It's almost kind of like when James McAvoy in Split, played all those different personalities. It's a little bit like that, granted, not to the same extent, but we get to see him having a little bit of fun playing around with all these different costumes and characters and whatnot until he meets a woman played by Arjona. And he gets a little too close to her, once he discovers that she's married and she's trying to get away from her husband because he's very abusive. And they're not really, she's not really sure exactly, what he's capable of and everything. He basically tells her, just don't even try to hire a hitman to kill her husband and everything. He basically, tells her just to get out, not even try anything. And they end up kind of building a relationship, and that leads on to other things that I won't get into because it'll kind of spoil where the rest of the movie goes. But it's a nice setup, and I definitely like the storyline in the movie. It's actually kind of loosely based on a real life person named Gary Johnson, and he did a lot of this same stuff where he was pretending to be a hitman and, helping the police catch these people who are inevitably trying to hire hitmen to kill people, and basically convicting them, for such crime and whatnot. So it's an interesting idea to kind of watch the setup and everything here. And like I said, at the beginning, Glen Powell has kind of already established himself as a pretty solid actor. And here he really engulfs himself in this role as Gary Johnson. But it's cool seeing him, especially once he meets Adria Arjona's character, because he meets her as one of his hitman characters. So it's interesting seeing him kind of bounce back and forth between being Gary and also this character that he's playing for her, Ron, as well as the other times that he's playing these different characters. It's just an interesting dynamic to kind of see him have to jump in and out of different characters throughout the movie, because each person that he's setting up essentially, knows him as somebody else. And it's just kind of a cool concept, and he does a great job playing all these different roles essentially. And like I said, I mean, the guy's just a good actor, and here is a real showcase of his abilities, his charm, his charisma. just everything. And I think with the direction of Richard Linklater, it helps get, a lot out of him because he is a guy that directs actors very well. And this is a movie where there's no shortage of that because not only do you have Glen Powell, Adria Arjona, I think, does a fantastic job. Her chemistry with Glen Powell, I think, works really well. It's a big highlight of the movie, and she's somebody that's popped up in a lot of things over the last several years. That she kind of flew under my radar a little bit because I didn't quite remember her specific roles in those movies. But now I'm going to go back and kind of check out some of the stuff she's been in because she really impressed me in this movie. I think she did a great job, and like I said, she plays really well off Glen Powell. You also have Austin Emilio, who's a guy I've always liked. He's a good character actor. He was also in Everybody Wants Some with Glen Powell and directed by Richard Linklater. He was also on The Walking Dead, I believe Fear of the Walking Dead as well. But he's a guy, he's just got an interesting face. And every time he's in a movie, you can always tell his character's probably going to be a little crazy because he just kind of has that look. But here he does a great job. You also have Retta, who I'm a big fan of from Parks and Recreation. She played Donna on there. She's a great side character here as well. And then past that, you don't get a lot of very recognizable faces, but a lot of people that, for the limited amount of time they're on screen, I think put in good work with what they're given. But yeah, all in all, this is just a flat out good movie, like just from start to finish. All the dialogue and everything is really, it's really quick and everybody, when you get into these scenes that are a little bit more talky than others, it all the stuff that they're talking about is interesting, and the dynamic just between all the characters, especially Glen Powell and Adria Arjona, I think works tremendously well. The script was actually written by Glen Powell and Richard Linklater, so they had a lot of input and influence into the movie, and it's great to see them not only write the script and direct it in Linklater's case, but just kind of perfect everything that they wanted this movie to be because it's clear this is definitely a project for both of them that they were very excited to put out, and I think they knock it out of the park with this one. This is a fantastic movie. I kind of hate that it's a Netflix movie. I know it's having a limited run in theaters, but it seems like it's very small in the amount of theaters that it's in. And I hope people check it out on Netflix because I would like to see the next Richard Linklater movie go to theaters because again, an amazing director. I think he does a great job here with Glen Powell and everything. And this is a movie you definitely want to check out because it's good. I mean, there's just no other way around it. Like everything here works well. There's really not much other than the fact that the pacing is a little slow. I will give it that. But everything even in its slowness is interesting. It's just it got to a point where I checked to see how long the movie was on, and when I saw I was only an hour into it, and it felt like it was 2 hours, I was a little put off there. But beside the point, I was having a good time with it, and I still think it's one you should definitely check out because so far it's probably my favorite movie of the year. Granted, I'm a little behind on some of the stuff I need to check out for the year, but nonetheless, doesn't take away from this being a really good movie that you should definitely check out. That's about it from me, guys. If you've had the opportunity to see Hitman, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and be on the lookout for more reviews, rankings, all that kind of good stuff. I'll leave all my links down below and where you can follow me and check out more of my reviews. And until next time, I will catch you all later.